Hi folks, welcome back to the channel. Been quite a while since I posted a video. I've had some major computer problems. My PC completely packed up, and it's been a while trying to get it sorted. In the end, I ended up buying a new computer, and as you can see, I've had to get loads of stuff off these drives. I pretty much almost lost everything. So I've had to get it sorted, get all my files back. All my 3D stuff had disappeared. I've managed to recover, I'd say, about 95% of what I lost and what I have lost. I don't think there's anything majorly important there. But it's stopped me being online for a while. I've had the phone, but it's difficult to do much online just using the phone camera. I did try, but it didn't really work very well. So I'm back. This is the first video I've shot for probably about 3 months, maybe. I don't know. But I thought I'd show you what I've been working on. I've still been building while I've been offline, but you can take a look now. So let's switch cameras. So as you can see, the Alaskan hauler, I think I did post a couple of videos of this a while back. It was more of an unboxing video and a couple of things of what I was thinking of doing with it. And I've been aiming to do a diorama with it. And the original plan was to do it with the log trailer, but it's so big that it's so long, and with the tractor unit on, there's very little you can do with it other than just have it on a sort of really long base. So, and I wanted to do something a bit different, so I've decided to just build a tractor for this one. It's going to be heavily weathered, and under here you can see that these are the main components. Now all these have had so far is just a basic colour put on them, and there's no major sort of modifications been here. There's a few little bit of detail added, but the chassis itself is simply, let me just turn the light round, maybe get a bit more light on that. Is that better? Just throw in a bit of a shadow, but let's try it from the side there. Maybe not. I think we might have been better that way, won't we? Yeah, okay, we'll leave it that way. So I've not painted the engine because the hood's going to be closed, so you're not going to see any of that. I've literally put it in just so that you can see the transmission on the bottom. So this has all been base coated in a satin black. I've just noticed one of my mud guards have come off, but we'll sort that out. And so that's just been sprayed up satin black. The only modification made to this is I've replaced the tread plate on here with some Slater's tread plate, which is a little bit more detailed than the one that was on the actual kit parts, and you'll see a bit more of that in a minute. So this is going to be heavily weathered. I mean, you'll barely see the black on it once I finish with this, because it's been driving along all these sort of icy roads, and there's going to be sort of grit and all kinds of stuff on it. So it'll look more of a sort of greyish brown than a black, but that's the base coat anyway. The cab parts. This green is it's a Ford colour. I think it's meadow green, but it's similar to the green that's used on the box top, and it's similar to one that I found in a sort of 70s archive photo. So that's the look I'm going for. The radiator's got to be painted in a sort of aluminium colour yet, but this is just the basic colour again heavily weathered. There's the sleeper cab, which I've not really put any detail in it because it's not really going to be seen. I originally thought that there was no transparency provided for this, and then I realised that it actually clips inside the cab. So the window, I don't know if it make that visible there. The window is seen through there. So, but I'm going to put some curtains in that just so that you can't see anything in the actual sleeper cab itself. Not that you'll see very much because the windows are going to be fairly dirty on this as well. So, so that's the main cab parts. These front fenders, they did have a tread plate pattern on them, but it's very faint in places because of the way it's molded. It sort of tapers away on the sides. So I completely skin this. You can probably see that better there. I completely skin this in the Slater's plasticard, and then I obviously painted it, and it's all sort of blended in nicely. There'll be quite a bit of wear and tear on this, you know, and some of the tread plates will be showing as bare metal, bits of rust and that kind of thing. The front headlights, they don't have the sort of dome in the back for the reflector, but I don't think it's going to matter on this one because of the you know, the dirt that's going to be on the truck. You're not really going to notice that. I'll just put a bit of a little circle of aluminium foil in there, and then I'll put the lens on top, and that should suffice, I think. So there are those two fenders. The tanks, the fuel tanks, there's no chrome provided in this kit because it's not. It's designed to be painted really, rather than, you know, like a kind of almost like a show truck. But rather than going, I did originally paint these aluminium, but in fact I've decided to go for red. I saw another example in a photo archive, so I've gone for this basic red colour, and then obviously they're going to be dirtied down. The straps will be coloured, the nozzle, the filler nozzle will be painted in a sort of black and metallic colour, and obviously these will be heavily stained and sort of rusted and that kind of thing. There's another tank provided with this, which apparently is a propane tank, probably for the heating in the cab. Again, another one of those archive pictures showed this in it was almost like a kind of buff colour. So I've base coated it in this orange, and then I'm going to sort of dry brush it into a sort of tan kind of colour, and then paint the straps in. And again, it just adds another bit of a feature to the truck, makes it a little bit more colourful. Interior's been painted just with the basic colours, but then this is going to be weathered. It'll get a wash in there on the carpet. I haven't got the dash here. I don't know where the dash is. It's probably still in the box somewhere, but in the decals that you get with the kit, you get these very nice dashes with the veneer on and the clocks. So I'm going to just use one of those. So I've sanded all the detail off the kit part, and I'll use one of those, and it'll show up quite nicely in the cab. And there's some really nice you know, operator decals on here, and there's loads of license plates and, you know, operator numbers and that kind of thing. So that'll add a little bit of detail to it. There's these two parts here, which this is known apparently as the headache rack. I think I'm right. Now this is the original kit mesh, very, very heavy gauge. It's got these chain hangers here to hang loads of lengths of chain on. Now this is obviously going to be very heavily rusted. That's just the base red colour. I added a bit of tread plate to the top of this here, and this sits on the back of the chassis behind the cab, and it stops, you know, if there was a sort of a sudden stop or a crash, it stops the logs travelling into the cab. It's got these little spotlights on the back. There's a lot of detail to go on this yet, and it's going to be rusty and, you know, chipped paintwork and that kind of thing. So that's just your base colour again. The front one, which I think this one's referred to as the moose catcher, I replaced the gauge of the mesh on this was way too big, so I cut it out and put a small frame in, and then added some aluminium mesh, you know, the kind you get from like an auto parts place. You can barely see that, actually. You can see it better there. Put my hand behind it. So it's nice scale mesh. It's got these hooks to hang, again, more toe chains on, and that's in its basic colours. I added a bit of tread plate to the top of the bumper there, and I'm thinking of actually painting the corners of these bumpers with some stripes, just to add a bit of a feature to it, really. I also changed the toe-in, what's that called? Is it the pintle or something? I changed that anyway for a metal one. So again, lots of weathering on this eventually. The wheels are just basic. The 4 rear wheels are just basic red paint. You'll probably barely see any of the red once they're weathered. And then the front ones have got this polished, more of a polished aluminium cover. It's a bit more in scale than the sort of high chrome ones with a red center. But again, these will be dirtied down. And then finishing off the truck parts, there's just some sort of, again, that sort of polished aluminium. I think it's a high coat color, an auto color. It's called chrome look, but it's not really chrome, but it is in scale really for this kind of level of you know, the sort of 1/24th, 1/25th type scale. So there's the door handles, the Kenworth logos for the side of the front, some lamps for the top, and the 2 horns. And then one other part, which this is the most modified bit, is the exhaust deck. Now there's only one on this truck. You do get 2 supplied, but one of them is left off. So anyone who's ever built these kits will know that these parts are basically nothing like they should look. They're not holes as such. They're just like little pimples on a sort of styrene tube, and they're not very well molded. And so basically what I did, you can see in there's the original styrene tube in there, and I sanded all those pimples off, and then I used some of this brass mesh. We see that without the reflection there, and it's basically the right size holes. There's the packet it came in, so it's Green Stuff World. If you're looking for the actual number, there it is, circles 0.5 millimeter, and it's great stuff. It's not that expensive. You get 2 sort of sheets that kind of that size basically, so you get 2 of those. In fact, they're a little bit bigger because I've cut the top off that one. You get 2 of those in a packet, and you can get different types. There's another one here which is, I'll show you that one close up if it'll focus. There you go. So that one is rectangular mesh. You can see there it's a different shape. There you go. So that's more of a kind of tread plate type thing. But I've got a few packs of this, and it's handy to have in. And I'll probably buy some more of this particular size for truck models. And basically, the way I did it was I wrapped a bit of tape around the plastic part. I'll get that to focus again there. Put my hand behind it there, maybe. There you go. So I wrapped a bit of tape around the plastic part, and then took it off, and that was obviously the length I needed to go round. I laid that onto the sheet, and then I cut it to the nearest hole with a pair of scissors. And then to bend it round, to get it to go round, I basically heated it up on the gas ring till it was red hot, let it cool down, and that annealed it enough to allow me to roll it around. And then I basically just poured a load of CA glue on it and glued it on. And it was covered in fingerprints, and the glue had come through the holes and that kind of thing, but it didn't matter, because once the glue had gone off, I sanded and polished the surface, got all the excess glue off, and then went over it with a tiny drill and just drilled out all the holes again. And that's left the glue obviously on the metal part of it on the inside, which has glued it on. There's a little bit of a seam there, but the seam can go to the inside. And I've also replaced the top with a piece of, there you go, with a piece of aluminium tube for the actual stack itself there. So that'll add a nice bit of detail. This is obviously going to, it's not going to be left brass. It will be painted that sort of chromy silver colour. So that's kind of the truck where we're going with that. And then I was thinking about the diorama, and I was thinking, well, I wouldn't mind having it at a, you know, like a gas station or something, because it's just going to be the tractor unit, not the trailer as well. And I'd gone to Ashton in Makerfield. There's a great shop there. There's a model shop. You've never been there. It's in a really odd place. It's in it's like an indoor market, but when you find it, it's a great model shop. They've got loads of stuff in there. And I came across this, and I'd never seen this kit before. Let me just zoom out a little bit now, because I'm probably a little bit close there, aren't I? There you go. Get that in. So this is an MRC Academy kit. I think it was originally released by MRC, and now it's been reissued by Academy. And it's basically a sort of American, you know, we call it a garage. It's a garage, isn't it? Like a filling station or a gas station. And you pretty much get what you see on here. You get a frontage for the actual building, and then you get the pumps, and you get these oil dispensers, and there's some tools, and there's a lift inside the sort of service bay, and you get jacks and all these other little bits and pieces. And you can probably see on the side there, gives you an idea of what you get in the kit. And that gives you an idea of what you actually get in terms of the building. Now the building itself, as it comes, is just a kind of facade, and it's really just for people who collect cars to just sort of, you know, display them in front. But I thought it had a lot of potential. So what I've done is, I'll just bring it up onto the bench. I've built this. Now, if I turn it this way, you can see it only just fits on the, I can't really zoom out any further, so we'll have to live with it as like this. So you can see that you get this frontage with obviously a door, and this is the kind of the shop area that you'd go into, and you get this front section here. It's all mounted on this grey base, which is really sort of heavy duty. That's most of the weight in the box. It has got this beveled edge to it, 'cause it's designed to just sort of stand there and you can display your cars in front. I'm going to lose this bevel edge because I'm going to build it onto a base and then sort of level off the ground, if you like, in front, so it'll sort of look like it's sitting on a flat ground. This will be sort of under the ground, if you like, this part here. So so you get this part here, and then you also get the end wall with two doors in for the restrooms and another window for the store. But then the back is simply just this strip along the top and the piece along the bottom, and this is open on the actual kit, and so is this end of the building. So I've had to put sheet styrene in here, quite heavy duty sheet styrene, to kind of fill that up. I've not finished detailing the back yet. There's going to be a bit of detail on the back, and so obviously I've then added the interior. So I kind of figured where the restrooms would be, and obviously there'd be two cubicles here, you know, sort of like a men's and ladies toilet. So I've left a kind of enough space where you'd fit a kind of wash basin and a toilet. I'm not detailing that. I mean, the doors don't open anyway, so there's no point. But it just gives the impression of this, you know, that's part of the building there. This part here, I figured that, you know, from sort of that there, that rectangular space would be the office for the store. So I've got that there. I've actually made you can see I've panelled this out inside. I've scribed a load of sheet styrene with like what looks like matchboard inside, and I've made a doorway there which fits in there. There's a little bit of a warp in this now because it's been sat for a few days. So you can see there's a door, like an office door. Obviously I've got to put a handle on it. There'll be a piece of glass in with maybe a little blind or something, so you won't see the wall behind it, so it'll look like there's an office there. I've left that out for now so I can paint it a different colour, and I've had to kind of double skin the walls in here. It looks a bit warped on the camera there, but it's not, it's straight. And I've lined all the inside of the service area as well. I did think about putting a connecting door then, and I thought, well, no, because it's going to take up some wall space, and it's not that big, this anyway. So so I've had to line all the inside of this out and make the sort of the interior of this, you know, double thick for the door and everything here, so it looks like an actual building. And I've taken a little bit of artistic license. I've not really thickened this up. So in reality, that part of the wall, if I show you that way, it's probably too thin. But by the time the roof and everything's on it, you're never going to notice that. You don't get a roof in the kit, by the way, it's just open. But I've got to add a roof. But I did beef this part up here, which is going to be the sort of open, well, where the cars would drive into the service area, because I wanted to have more of a, you can see there, like the sort of thickness of the wall there, so it looks like a kind of concrete or block building. So that's there. Obviously this is going to have a floor in, like a tile floor. I'm going to put a ceiling in here with some LED lights in, like you know, sort of what will appear look like strip lights, you know, with the kind of diffusers in. But in fact it'll just be like a strip of LEDs inside to make it light up. So there'll be a false ceiling, so the shop's lit. Obviously the windows will be in, and there'll be posters on the wall. I've built a counter. There's the counter, and it's got like a little kick plate on the bottom, and this has got another kind of you know, like a wood finish. Now, given that this is I'm not having it like a general store, you know, selling sort of magazine and food and everything. It's just really going to be the kind of service centre, if you like, you know, so they'll probably have shelves in there with air filters and that kind of thing on. And this would be probably filthy. I've got a file for a 3D cash register, which I'm going to have a cash register on here, and there'll be, you know, sort of, I don't know, manuals and sort of catalogues and that kind of thing. I'm basing this around the sort of mid 70s to early 80s, so it's not going to be too high tech. You know, there's not going to be a computer in there or anything. I've got a telephone to go on the wall. So this counter is going to be sat sort of there somewhere maybe, and I might get a figure to go behind the counter, and, you know, maybe have a couple of people stood in there. I'll get onto the figures in a minute. Obviously this here is your sort of service area for the cars. It does come with its own where's that picture again? It comes with its own ramp, which you can see on the picture there. It's this weird thing with a single post, and it's got what looks like sort of girders for the ramp, which I've never seen that kind before. Not saying they never existed, but it just seems a bit odd. So I'm doing away with that, and I'm actually using this, which is the Fujimi tools set. Now, although this just shows some sort of tools and shelving and stuff on the front, you do actually get a lift for cars as well, like a hydraulic lift, and you get some engine cranes, like engine stands, and you get all this shelving, and there's loads of tools and all that kind of thing. So it's all going to be dirtied down and, you know, looking a bit filthy. You know, there's the sort of contents, if you like, of the garage there. They did used to do that building as well. I don't know if they still make it, but it was just like a sort of two-sided display for like a model car. So I've got all these tools on the go. I've also got, I'm thinking, because it's that kind of period and, you know, sort of mid-70s-ish, I'm going to put a VW Beetle on the ramp, mainly because it'll fit in here. It's got a small area, so this will fit in quite nicely. But also I can have it with maybe the you know, the hood and the engine door left off, you know, taken off, and maybe it's under restoration or something, and I can make it look a bit shabby, but it's also got an engine in it as well. So there's that to go in. Another idea I had, I wanted to be able to see down inside this. Now, as I say, it's going to have this flat roof on, and you know, there'll be some stuff on the roof. There might be a little sort of like a chimney, you know, for I don't know, they might have like a little log burner in there or something. But on this side, I was thinking about seeing inside, and I was trying to think of doing some kind of you know, like a glazed roof or something, so you could see in. And then it suddenly dawned on me about the Airfix did a canopy, a platform canopy for their 00 scale stuff, and it's just the right size to go on here. So I've built one. I've obviously left the legs off it because it's not going on a platform, and that's going to sit on the roof, and you'll be able to see down through there. The only thing that's missing off this, I've got to put there's some more bars to go in there for the glazing, and that's going to sit on there, so you'll be able to see inside through the roof into the service bay. And you know, there might be somebody working on the car or whatever. So there's that. Interestingly, although Dapol still make that kit, that is one of the original very early 60s, I think. It's probably as old as me. And I found this on eBay. There's loads of them on eBay in the original packets for not very much money. So I suppose people have been collecting them for years, and then I suppose people die and they end up in somebody's collection and they sell them off. It's very simple. The instructions, the original instructions, just like a sort of blue picture. There's nothing on the inside, but it's a nice thing that, upside down, the nice thing that anyway, you know, we just see it, that's the original one, and it was redone maybe 4 or 5 times by Airfix, and then Dapol bought the molds, and I should imagine the Dapol ones are a little bit worn out now because of the age of the kit, whereas the parts on this, you look at those parts, they're super crisp. I've done nothing to that other than just take the molding pips off, and it's like it was just made yesterday type of thing, you know. So the parts when they were brand new like this were just great, and that just went together with some liquid cement, and there it is. And I think that even though this is the planking on this is obviously, you know, like 00 scale, I don't think it looks out of place on the roof on here. You know, it could be just some kind of corrugated material. So that's going on the roof. Other parts for the garage. Let's just move that out of the way. You do get this piece. It's like the sort of plinth that the pumps sit on that goes outside. However, the pumps themselves, let me just find those. They're okay, they're nice, but let's turn them around that way so you can see them. So you can see the parts, you know, they're well molded, and they're quite chunky. And there's various tools and stuff on these sprues as well, which are not taken off yet. But the pumps themselves, there's the other part of them there, where the hose goes, you know, the sort of the nozzle fits in there. They're okay, but I also knew of another type of these. And I've built some of these before, and these are doozy model works from Japan, but they've now got a distribution deal with AK, so they're a lot easier to get hold of. At one time you could only get these through Hobbylink Japan, and they weren't that expensive, but it was just the hassle of importing them. Now these are available from most suppliers who obviously handle AK stuff in this country, and you can see the detail on that. Just hold that up to there. They look, I mean, obviously a lot of that's painted, but they look amazing when they're done. Now I can't show you them at the moment because I've just spray painted them. I've painted the white in here first, and then I've had to mask that off. I've painted some red, which is going to be heavily weathered like that, you know, to get it all nice and rusty and scraped and whatever. And then the rest of it is in a kind of aluminium, kind of polished metal kind of colour. So I'll do that, and then obviously they're going to be filthy, really dirtied down. And then there's a hose. There's the hose that you get, which is just like it's basically a piece of wire, but you can bend it around to the shape you want. And also you can see in there's some pre-cut acetate, which is used to go in the windows in the pump. And I'm just looking for the decals for those. I've got them here somewhere. There we go. So the decals are really, really well printed. There we go. Just bring that up to there, and you can see. I can get that to focus. You can see how good they are. They're fantastic. And it's, you know, it's got the counters for the sale in gallons and that kind of thing. But they just look the business when they're done. There's an old MasterCard and Visa thing there, see? So they really look good when they're done, and then they're not that expensive when you look at other stuff. I've also got a 7-Up machine to go outside the garage. This is one of their doozy ones as well. Will that focus a bit better? It's still in its box. There you go. Now that is in fact just one solid piece of resin, and you paint it up, and then you put the decals on, the 7-Up decals. And they do various machines. They do Coke machines. I've actually got one here that I built years ago for a diorama. It was never used, and it's just sat on the shelf there. There's a Pepsi machine. It needs a coat of matte varnish on it to. There you go. So you look at that. That one I'd say is probably a little bit too modern for the diorama that we're doing, but the 7-Up one certainly looks okay. So you can see how tidy they are, and they're just a piece of resin. See, there's the bottom of it where it's been on some pins sprayed. So I'll tidy that up, but I'm not going to use it on this one. Oh, there you go. There's the original box from the Pepsi one. It's a bit faded because it's been sat on the window ledge, but on the other side it's got the gas pump sort of advert for one of the gas pumps, and that's a different pump from the ones that I've got. And they do about 4 or 5 different styles of pump, and they do vending machines, they do ice machines, they do those those newspaper vending machines that you see in I don't know whether they still have them in the States, but you see them in movies a lot, you know, in these kind of sort of detective movies and things like that. So they do those. There's the oil stand that came with the garage kit. That's got about 20 odd parts in that. It's amazing. It's just like loads of little bits that you have to stick together. So that's going to stand outside. It's going to have a vintage looking ad on the top. The decals you get with the kit itself, just find those, are these. Oh, you get some, wire and hose and stuff in the back. But these Joe's Power Plus. Now the only problem is that they're a bit generic, because obviously they don't want to pay for Texaco or a Moco or Gulf or anything like that. So they're literally just some made up brand. So that's on all the cans as well there. See, if I can get that to focus, maybe not. Oh, there you go. So it's got Power Plus motor oil, and then there's the things for the pumps. They're nice, but they're just not. They're a bit generic. So I'm not using those. I will use. There's a few on there, you know, for the toilets, and there's a little map and things like that. I'll use those. You do also get somewhere. I don't know where it is now. I'll find it. It's one of those round signs for the. I thought it was here. Let's have a look. No, it's in the box somewhere. You get a round sign for the front of the. You know, it's on a stand, but I'm thinking of fixing it to the corner of the building and putting a. I don't know what station it's going to be yet. It might be a Texaco or you know, some other brand. So let me show you that. That's the door that you get. Now in this kit, it's made to just flip up on a hinge, but I've cut the hinge off because it wouldn't actually do that. It'd roll up, wouldn't it? It'd be sort of, you know, one of those ones that's sort of segmented and roll up into the top. But I'm actually going to have it closed. It's just going to be fitted inside there. If I can just get it to stay in for a minute, it'll be fixed in like that because it is very clear. So I'm figuring, well, it's Alaska, it's the winter, they'd have the door shut, so you'll be able to see through into there. There'll be lights in there as well as the light through the top, through the canopy, so you'll be able to see the car ongoing. And one more thing that I've got to go in this, which I can't show you at the moment because it's in a box somewhere and I haven't located it yet. I've got an electronic circuit, so as well as the lights, I've got a thing. I got it from, it was like a model railway suppliers, and it's called the Ultimate Welder, and it's basically like a little speaker and a circuit, and the circuit has got some fiber optics that come off, and you've got a welding simulator, so you put it where somebody's welding, so you have a figure welding, and it flashes, it flickers on and off like a strobe effect, and you get this crackling from the speaker like welding, and then it kind of glows, so it goes brighter and brighter, and then the welding stops, and then it suddenly switches to red, and it goes dimmer and dimmer and fades, so it looks like the metal's cooling down. And you also get some fiber optics that you put through the floor, and it looks like sparks dancing around on the floor. It's amazing when you see it, but I've got to dig it out. It's in I was going to use it in another diorama, but I never got round to it. So I'll find that, and I'm going to use it in here. So there'll be a little bit of light and sound action inside the garage, like, and then you know, obviously there's going to be the shop and everything there. As far as figures go, I might have shown these before. I can't remember what I put up on the channel last because it's been off so long. I managed to get these figures here. They're 3D printed. I printed them, but I've got the files from, I think it was Cults 3D, I think. And there's one of these typical sort of American truckers in winter gear. You know, he's got one of these kind of body warmer jackets on. Show better in my hand, won't it? There you go. So he's got one of those body warmers on. He's got shades on. He's actually having a coffee, but he's got a hip flask, and he's putting a bit of a livener into his coffee there. There's another guy drinking coffee there. So I was going to have them stood outside the truck. You know, there's various other figures. A lot of them are a little bit generic. I might have to chop the heads off and put other heads on and that, just so they don't all look the same. There's a guy with his hand on his hips. I'm going to look around for some, you know, sort of mechanic type figures as well. There you go, there's another guy. I'm not going to use all of these, but gives you an idea. There's a guy waving with a toolbox in his hand. There's this guy having a conversation. There you go. He's got a slightly different face to the others, and so he's got big thick gloves on. What else have I got? I've got a guy walking with a box. And then the final one, there is a driver figure that I didn't print, and then there's this one who's running. I won't be using him, but it's quite a good little set. But the guy that did the designs for these, he does other figures as well, so I'm going to look at those maybe for you know, for mechanics and things. So that's kind of where I'm at the moment. I'm just looking through if there's anything else here. Give you an idea, there's the original one that I tried, and then it turned out it was actually slightly too big till I hit on the idea of using the tape to get the right length. So that one is a bit oversized. It needs a couple of like rows of holes taken off it, but that was a first attempt. But that could be used for something else. But you can see how fine that is, and it's just nice stuff to use, really. But you're not going to get anything more accurate than that, really, for the exhaust stacks. So yeah, so that's where we are at the moment. I suppose I could show you this. This is there's various bits in here. There's the engine hoist, which is just going to be parked up somewhere. Again, it'll probably be yellow and loads of oil stains on it and a bit battered and chipped. What else is in here? There's like an aircon unit that could just go in the store. It's upside down, actually. It's that way. That could just go against the wall. There's like a little workbench there on legs. These are all from the Fujimi kit. There's a set of drawers, like a tool locker. Wrong way around again. There's like a tool locker, but it's got opening drawers, so you know the drawers open with tools in the drawers. Another type of bench that can have an engine on it or something. What else have we got on here? There's the welding gear, the oxyacetylene. There's parts in here off the. Oh, there's another one. There's like one of those little snap-on lockers. Let's get that so you can see that. Let's go into focus. There you go. It's hard to see when it's just grey plastic. It's got a tray in the top there. It's got the lid there. So again, that'll have tools in. There's there you go. There's a welding set, like an arc welding gear. So all of this will just be parked up against the wall. And there's oil cans, and there's crates, and there's like these kind of plastic jerry can type things here. I've also got a load of oil drums. Mini Art do 1/24 oil drums with really nice decals for, you know, the kind of 70s, 60s, 70s kind of vintage. So I've got those to use as well. So you can imagine, you know, I can just sort of build up more and more detail on this as I go along. But it's been quite a good project to get into, because I've not done much building for a while, and I just wanted to get into something that I could just do bits of and then add to, and sort of get my mojo back, really, because it's just been one of those years where I've done a bit and then I've dropped off, and then I had all the problems with the computer, so it's nice to sort of get on with something and get back into it, really. So what I'll do, I'll try and get a bit done on this. As I say, I'm painting the petrol pumps at the moment, so they'll be finished hopefully by the end of the week. And then I'm starting to work on some of these details, and then eventually I'll do the building or weather the truck, and then gradually it'll start to come together. And you know, so I don't know, maybe another 3 or 4 weeks and I'll have something to show for it. But as I do a few bits of this, I'll post another video, maybe when I've got some of these tools and everything weathered. And so that's it really. So I'll try and do some more videos in terms of stuff I've picked up and, you know, new kits and things like that. If I just switch to the other camera again, there we go. You can see behind me there, there's more mini art stuff. If I lift that up there, you can see there's a lot of stuff up there. Other things I've picked up recently. If I pull that over, so I don't know how far the wire will go, but you can see that there's those locos there are for the Dora railgun, which I'll eventually get around to doing. There's 3 Kaiten torpedo sets there that I picked up from Japan, fine molds ones. They're for the Lindbergh 172nd Japanese sub. There's also, well, there's that Hella racing set, which is just waiting for paint now, and that'll be done. There's a Gecko hovercraft. There's an Ares spaceship there. There's some Batman kits. There's various bits that I've picked up. Let's just go around the top there. Let's move the light out of the way. I've got a thing about French tanks as well. You can see somewhere in amongst that mini art stuff, there's 3 Char B1s there, French tanks. And then let's just turn that light off because it's just in. Oh no, that hasn't worked, has it? It's gone darker. Let's just pull it out of the way so it's not in the way of the camera. And then you can see there's more French tanks there. There's various bits and stuff going on, and then there's a lot more above my head. Let's just see if I can show you that. You know, there's all this stuff up here. There's all Batman kits and stuff. So, you know, little tour. And this is only the scratching the surface really in terms of the stash. Let's just pop that back down again. There we go. So yeah, there's a bit to build there, but it's all for me retirement really. So yeah, so looking back, I'm just checking to see if there's anything else to show off of that kit, but I think you've seen everything for now. So that's about it for now. So hopefully I'll be back online a bit more and you know, joining in on some of the live streams and things like that. And so as ever, you know, if you want to subscribe or like the video, then please do. If you've got any comments, happy to answer any questions. And fingers crossed, my lamp's collapsing now. I'll have a few more videos out soon. It's been quite long now. I'm just looking at the timestamp. It's nearly 50 minutes long. So apologies if it's too long, but there we go. I need to sort this light out. There we go. That's better. So thanks for watching, and see you soon.